over the enemy.
Yes.
Yeah, I know some of y'all don't understand that. Some of us are letting the devil beat us over the head, but I come to let you know that God gave you power over the enemy. And so David said, he inquired of the Lord, shall I pursue and shall I overtake? And God said, go ahead, son, and take it. And some of us got to learn how to take it by force. Oh, y'all looking funny. And y'all acting like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. But sometimes you got to learn how to take stuff by force. You got to learn how to take your joy back by force. You got to learn how to take your, oh, y'all looking funny. You got to take your finances back by force. You got to take your life back by force. You got to turn, oh God. Some of us are addicted to stuff that we ain't got no business being addicted to, and you got to let it go by force. I am not going to let the enemy deter me from my destiny.
Yes.
I will pursue and I will overtake. Oh God, see the thing is that some of us got some stuff that God has for us, but we too scared to go after it. But look at your neighbor and say, you got to look over. You look at your neighbor and say, you got to go after it.
Gotta go after
You
it.
got to go after it. And so he sought counsel from God at this dark hour after the years of a hard life running from Saul and battling the enemies of Israel. He went to the Lord in prayer. We all have times when we feel at the end of our own strength. That's why the Lord led me to do You Are My Strength. Because sometimes we feel like we're at the end of our strength. And when you get at the end of your strength, you got to realize that God has more strength to give you. Look at somebody say, at the end of your rope,
At the end of your rope,
you got to reach beyond the break.
you gotta reach beyond the break.
Say you got to reach beyond the break. When you get to the end of your strength, you got to realize that God can give you more strength. You got to realize that God is your strength. When we face pain or disappointments, David had one person who was closer than a brother that he knew he could lean upon. Even while some folk were looking to pick up stones to execute him, even when David himself was grieving because of the capture of his two wives, even when David was distressed, the word said David encouraged himself in the Lord. And that's what you got to learn to do, is encourage yourself in the Lord. David got the victory there by faith. We walk by faith. We live by faith and not by sight. Stop looking at what it looks like and look at what God told you it should be. Stop looking at how you look now and start looking at what God told you it should be. God said, I'm above only and not beneath.
Yes.
God said, I'm the head and not the tail. Look at somebody and say, there's more for me than what meets the eye.
Yes.
Yeah, there's more for me than what meets the eye. And so David got the victory by faith. He was encouraging himself in the presence of the Lord. He was rejoicing in God's faithfulness. And he came to see that all that really counts in the face of death and despair is a personal knowledge of God. And what I'm here to let you know today is, if you don't know anything else, if you don't understand anything else, remember that you got to put your faith in God.
Yes.
You got to put your trust in God. I know sometimes life can bite you, but sometimes you got to learn how to bite back. Look at somebody and say, I'm about to bite back.
About to bite back.
What do you mean, sir, about you gonna bite back? What I mean is, the Bible said that the devil is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. He says, as, not is. In other words, the devil is not as powerful powerful as some of us believe he is. And so some of us got to get a bite back in our spirits. In other words, the enemy attacks your finances. You got to bite back and say, I'm not going to take this because I know what the Lord said. Even when people turn their backs on you, you got to get a bite back and say, for God I live and for God I die. You got to get a bite back in your spirit. It doesn't matter what the enemy tries to tell you. You got to get, I don't got an organ, but I can still preach it. You got to get a bite back in your spirit and say, I'm not going to take it anymore. You got to get a my God praise. In other words, everything that the enemy has tried to do to you, you got to realize it's no matter what I'm going through, I got a my God praise. My God, in the midst of what I'm going through, my God, in the midst of what it looks like, my God, in the middle of my hell, my God, in the middle of my circumstance, my God, in the middle of my situation, yes, I feel like preaching here. Turn your neighbor and say, neighbor, you gotta have an in spite of praise. I know sometimes we come to church and we don't feel like it. I know sometimes we come to church and we're burdened down. I know sometimes, sometimes we don't feel like giving him the glory, but that's when your strength is nothing and God's strength is made perfect. In other words, I'm going to encourage myself in the Lord. That's when I come to the conclusion, I will bless the Lord. Sometimes I will bless the Lord when it's going good. I will bless the Lord if I feel like it. No. I will bless the Lord at all times. And his praise. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, his praise. Yes, sir. I know some of y'all ain't used to me acting like this, but I got to go ahead and get it out. Yeah. His praise, his praise, his praise shall continually be in my mouth. Yes, sir. I gotta praise and I gotta let it out. Why? Because I encourage myself in the Lord. Sometimes the enemy tried to beat you down, but you sometimes gotta learn how to fight from under. Sometimes you gotta learn how to use some uppercuts and fight from under until you can raise up